This SaaS consultancy founder nails complex projects in fintech, healthcare, and logistics. His fractional CTO page was ranking really well, but reading like a search optimized brochure, not something that actually converts his ideal customers, which are founders. We unpacked how to turn that SEO traffic into booked calls, why burying social proof kills momentum, and the one headline tweak that could double conversions overnight. Let's get into it.
I'm Amir Morimi. I'm CTO and co-founder of White Fox Cloud Consulting. White Fox is a software consulting company, and we work a lot with fintech, healthcare, and logistics and freight industries. We've got a team of software engineers and AI engineers building SaaS products, mobile applications, and AI agents for all of these industries. My own background, I come from a software engineering background. I used to be a Java developer back in the days, but then I did a lot of DevOps, and I've been serving as CTO full-time for a period, and then fractional CTO for the past 8 years. In general, the kind of projects we focus on recently has been building a lot of AI agents to automate a lot of the handling of structured, unstructured data, including a lot of document ingestion and document creation for all of these industries, which, as you know, they all involve a lot of handling of unstructured data, especially in financial services.
I love it. So how did you get in? I love kind of the backstory of like kind of being in-house and then going out and starting an agency. Super, super common, and definitely the first one on Clarity Jams with that background. Can you walk me through a little bit about kind of who your kind of ideal clientele is? I know you mentioned fintech, healthcare, and like freight and logistics or supply chain as kind of the core industries, but like who's the actual like, key champion that's actually, making the final decision and signing the check, and or is it a buying committee?
Yes, often it's actually co-founder or CEO of the company who engages with us. A lot of them find us through referral. Clients who we've had kindly introduce us and put a good word for us in their own community to other co-founders and CEOs and founders that they work with. As a result, we get to have a conversation with them. Most often recently, it's been because they're going through a period of growth or a transition in technology. They realize they don't have the skills in-house, so they want someone more senior to come in, join, and help them shape a team or run a program or a project end-to-end for them. That's when often we get involved. We are, interestingly enough, seeing a lot of inbound from ChatGPT and Perplexity, people, especially in Australia where we're based. But we also have clients in Europe, but the Australian market, interestingly enough, has been finding us through AI when looking for companies to help them uplift their technology in fintech, healthcare, and freight.
I love it. You're definitely not the first company that has, big uptick from AI, like Perplexity and ChatGPT and Quad. However, I want to come super excited to kind of dive a little bit more into your landing page about your fractional CTO services. So the first thing I am seeing here is a very cool, bold, minimalist design. Kudos there, really easy to read. And I'm definitely seeing straight out the CTA schedule a strategy call now. So it sounds like, your main goal is to get people to book a call. One little thing you might want to fix right off the bat is, and so it's such a minor thing, but it can make a big difference when it comes to the number of calls booked, is making sure your CTA within the navigation menu and within the main website is the exact same text. So whether it is schedule a strategy call now or book a free consultation, maybe you A/B test it and figure out which one's going to work better, or just pick one. It doesn't really matter. Make sure it's the same across so that your primary CTA has that same language so that it's actually encouraging people and there's no like micro friction happening when it comes to conversions. But the bigger kind of question I had for you is, this feels very much like an SEO landing page, not a conversion landing page. And by conversion, I mean like designed to be narrative and persuasive and get somebody to book a call versus an SEO where it might be a little bit more discovery to get on, SEO, and especially now AI LLMs as well. What is kind of the overall goal for this page? Is it SEO? Is it AI? Is it conversions?
It's interesting, yeah, that you've observed that. It has been actually built with an SEO and AI mindset. The goal was actually to get some visibility into those channels.
I can definitely tell from how this is. My one suggestion to you, and in that case, definitely, I'm going to tell you to do this. I'm going to kind of walk through it from a different lens than pure conversion. If the main goal is SEO, and I would suspect based off of everything you shared, it's probably ranking extremely well. One thing you might want to do is, I like fractional CTO services, especially if you're trying to rank competitively and or be really well associated in LLMs for the term fractional CTO, super smart. I would say I would maybe challenge you to think about a little bit more about why Fox Cloud and not any other fractional CTO. There's so many of them out there. What is kind of your unique differentiator?
Yep. No, that's a very good point. And we have some differentiators which
Okay.
probably are not mentioned here, but especially, for example, when it comes to healthcare and fintech in Australia, the depth of knowledge that we have is much, much higher than most other companies. In healthcare, for example, we are an active member of HL7 Australia, which is a standard community backed by an international community working on all of these healthcare related API standards. And we are one of the contributors of the AU core set of standards, for example, modeling patients, medications, conditions, all of those common resources that are often used in healthcare systems. And as a result of that, we've generated a set of tooling that are specialized for this. One of our tools actually recently won an award, as of this week, very recent. And that was a converter tool, which anybody can use to convert a JSON format from their existing healthcare systems into the FHIR standard format in a matter of seconds using AI and LLMs. So these are the specialties that we can bring when we come in as a VCTO, fractional CTO. We can basically bring all of those skills and background in the industry, which is not the case with a lot of the other competitors that we have. Fintech is very similar. There are so many service providers in Australia that we've worked with, so we can easily say, for example, for the stage of the business, the revenue they have, the team structure they have, which one of those partners or technology providers would be better choices. For example, payments is a good example. You can go to a bank and ask for payment services, or you can go to other startups who provide more developer-friendly APIs for doing payments, and it all depends on where the business is at and what sort of requirements they have. Because we've been doing it for a while, we already have those relationships. We have all the depth and breadth of experience that we can bring in when we get engaged as a fractional CTO.
Yeah. So first of all, congrats on the award. That's killer. Second of all, one of the simplest things you can make literally today to basically instantly still have really, really strong SEO, really strong GEO for LLMs as well, is to say fractional CTO for fintech, for Australian fintech and healthcare companies. That's going to instantly help you differentiate. It's not going to affect fractional CTO as a keyword at all. If anything, it's going to actually just bump up your conversions, because anyone who's going to see that who fits that profile is going to be like, ooh, this is a fractional CTO company for me. And the ones who are still interested in you from referrals are not going to really care. They're just going to say, oh, they specialize in this one thing, but I bet you they can still work with me because X, Y, and Z past clients all said that Amir and his team were killer. So that was something you can instantly change. I would also maybe encourage you to take all of those awards and everything you just shared right there and put that as your subhead. So instead of strategic technology guidance for your business, that is basically pretty fluffy and doesn't say anything, what you just shared there is so much more relevant and instantly going to make this page not only be fine for SEO, but also just convert way better. Same thing goes for if you wanted to do this, is instead of an illustration, which I get it, that was like a really big design approach probably about 2 to 3 years ago, maybe a little bit later than that, or a little bit earlier, full approach. But I feel like you're almost like missing like the cherry on top, which is, hey, add something that's like personalized to you, whether that's, I know you have some amazing testimonials on your homepage. Why don't you put those testimonials, particularly one from fintech or healthcare, directly up there, so people instantly see, oh, okay, they're a fractional CTO, but they're also different and specialized, and a whole bunch of people already trust them, right above the fold.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. That's great feedback.
So scrolling down to the next section, normally I would lay into what is a fractional CTO, but if your goal is SEO, like you mentioned before, keep it. You need it. It's not going to help you it's not going to help you with anything else. However, what you might want to think about is moving this section and have CTO versus fractional CTO, what's right for you, above that other one, because this table is killer. And just instantly going to tell people, okay, this is what a fractional CTO is and why maybe do we need one? Do we not need one? Do we want to hire a white fox or not? That whole section is just a really good example for that. Scroll down.
Yep.
Scroll. Okay, so we already covered social proof, putting that up above the fold from your homepage. Whether, okay, then you have a new section kind of about the specific needs. I like it. What I would say for you is I think this let's talk about what model fits your business best section is misplaced. This to me raises what should be like the final CTA on the page. So if someone's still skimming and they're still in modes and you want to have like one last chance to get them, I would make that be your last section of this landing page, and that's a kind of standard SaaS philosophy. Any thoughts about that?
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely move it down there. I think it's not the best spot.
Yeah, for sure. And then let's go down to the benefit section.
Sure.
Walk me through the section and why you have this here versus just kind of including it with the who's a good fit or not in the table.
Yes. Yeah, now that you mentioned it, it can be moved up there. It's the aim was to make it clear that what are the key benefits that they would get to engage a fractional CTO, and just to elaborate more on it for people who are still not 100% convinced that whether they want a fractional one versus a full-time one. It was obviously mentioned in the table as well, but just a bit more into what sort of things a fractional CTO can help with.
Yeah. If you want to go a little bit deeper and still keep this key benefit section, one thing you can do is just make it a lot more specific to your company. So instead of going on about, faster time to market, which any fractional CTO or any consultant or any developer for hire would say that, give them an example from your own company, or just say something that's a little bit more specific so that it's not only the benefits of hiring a fractional CTO, but the benefits of hiring your company as their fractional CTO.
Okay, that's great.
What would be some of those benefits?
So the benefits, specific benefits, as I mentioned, one of them is having industry-specific knowledge and experience that we can bring in. The other one is we can help them, instead of going out there trying to hire people or find freelancers or contractors, we can recommend some of our own team members that of course they can interview and filter as they wish. That would give them more access to the talent and in a much faster way. That is one of our differentiators compared to some fractional CTOs who are basically just acting as a small agency themselves and potentially engaging with others, because we have more than 50 engineers in-house. We can basically accelerate the hiring process. The other differentiator that we have is we've worked on a lot of startup products and products that have gone through massive scales of growth. So that means we can bring that as a skill in helping the founders and potentially marketing team in deciding what decisions they need to make in the product as well as tech to basically have a bigger impact in time to market.
Got it. I like it. So what you just said right there is something I would definitely rework the section to include that being that specific, because that's only going to help you not only for your SEO goals, but also for just general conversions. Scroll down. So now I'm seeing kind of your service page. Makes sense. There are some things that you might want to consider here when it comes to maybe adding an image of your team or just, adding some additional social proof right here. But by and large, this section works for what your goals are. Scroll down. I would probably get rid of this section because the what's disgusting, because it's actually not, you're going to have the final CTA at the bottom. You're kind of walking through the page. You don't need that. I really like the industries you serve. I really like the design. You probably could make the copy a little bit more stand out, but overall, that's a goal of kind of talking through the industries you are. Maybe get rid of SaaS and just lead with the other three because they are kind of, it goes into the role of 3 for conversions. And also it's what you kind of are specialized in. But overall, this kind of works for what that is. Now, what's really interesting to me is kind of that scrolling bar at the bottom. Why is this buried all the way down the page? I see this all the time for technical founders, where they literally bury some of their most interesting and highest conversion social proof way below the page. I would take what you have right here and literally put that like right in the hero section or directly below it, so it's still above the fold, and people can instantly say, well, now you remove that one illustration and you have a testimonial in the hero section, and you also have the scrolling little sidebar that talks about a 97% client satisfaction, all the technologies you use, all of your projects. That's just like killer social proof, and it's literally buried at the bottom of your page.
Yeah, very good point. Should bring it up.
Yeah, that is like the simplest fix, and the economics guarantee that page is just going to convert so much better when you do that. Scroll down. Okay, so why choose white box? Again, same question. Cool, you're leading a little bit more into differentiators. We've already covered a lot of this already within the podcast. I would maybe tell you to incorporate some of the that stuff in this section, and then throughout your hero section as well again. So it just makes it really clear, hey, that we are like really specialized fractional CTOs for healthcare, for fintech, and for supply chains and like freight and logistics. That just becomes way more clear, and it's just going to help you all around the board.
Yep, good point.
And then meet the leaders. I like this. It's your team section. No notes. Keep that as is. Scroll down. Cool. Okay, you have a final CTA. Yeah, you might want to either keep this one or use the other one, whichever one you do. Again, that works. And then locations we serve. That's interesting. I would maybe say consolidate either into say like, you know, if you really do specialize in Brisbane, Melbourne, and Sydney, keep those and maybe consolidate across Australia and worldwide into one section.
Okay.
Scroll down. Okay, now frequently asked questions. My thing to you is, this is another thing I see all of the time when I'm doing these coding jams, and then also when I'm writing copy for my clients, is people utilize these as actual like help doc FAQs instead of how I think, instead of how they actually convert a lot better in my experience, which is as objection killers. So instead of saying who needs a fractional CTO service or what does a fractional actually do, which are just purely for SEO and you already have elsewhere on this page, I would maybe just go and lean into what are the 3 biggest objections that you hear all the time, and make sure those are included in the section. So it doesn't read as a laundry list. It's just more about, okay, we're already, you know, maybe giving that one summary of what a fractional CTO is, and the rest of these are like your core objections. So with that in mind, what are your biggest objections?
The biggest one is, yeah, we want this to be an in-house role. We think it's very important for the company to have somebody in-house. Obviously, they know, most of them know of the about the costs. One of the things that we come back with is, yes, it's a strategic role, and you most definitely want to have it in-house during a stage of growth. But are you sure you're at that stage right now? And most of the founders and CEOs are still not convinced themselves that they're at that stage that they can afford and keep a full-time CTO, knowing that when a full-time CTO comes in, they need a team. So then you have this extra cost for the team. So when you combine all of those costs, it's actually much more cost-effective if a fractional CTO comes in, shapes a team, gets them into a good cadence of delivery, and then you can make a decision whether it's the right time to engage a full-time CTO or you can still continue with a fractional one.
Yeah, I would definitely lean into that and have an entire, you know, question tied to that objection. Maybe also kind of go through your discovery calls and or from, you know, from your clients and pick 2 to 3 more and just make sure that they are written in here, because FAQs are objection killers. And that's how you really can bump up the number of calls booked.
No, very good.
before we wrap?
No, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining Query Jams, Emil.